Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, how's it going tonight?
Good. Oh, I don't have anything to sip on. I have a laptop, though. I'm gonna magically go into the fridge. Hold on. Let me get up.
Oh, so in other words, you're carrying us around your flat with
This
you.
is not going to be good. It's going to be people opening the
you're gonna
door right
drop
now,
us, and you're going to disconnect
yes, it's
yourself.
Gonna be. There we go.
Okay. I mean, it's not like the guest hasn't ever had to carry the stream when the host has technical difficulties.
It doesn't matter. I got my soda. I have a mug root beer with the bulldog on it. You know mug root beer?
Oh, of course I do. Yes, absolutely.
That's the Pepsi brand root beer. I will say this: they do make the best root beer. I think I like it better than Barks and better than A&W, though I've been known to drink all three.
But of course, A&W root beer has that frosty mug taste.
It's too vanilla.
Only A&W has that frosty
with
mug
aged
taste.
vanilla, right?
I think you're right. I think it was with aged vanilla. Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. I should say hi to the chat tonight. Actually, what are you sipping on?
Well, right now I'm just sipping on a lemonade, but that's only because I was feeling a little bit off before, but I'm feeling better now. I think I might have a Guinness.
You could add some iced tea and have an Arnold Palmer.
that is acknowledging because I said I have a Guinness and I looked up at her.
Oh, that's like my dad in the old days. He would say, "Hey, what?"
She said, "Give me a kiss, I'll give you a Guinness."
Oh man, my dad in the old days, he would say, "Hey Jeff, while you're up getting yourself a Coke, can you get me one?" Of course, I'm not getting myself a Coke. Okay, it's like no, it's like okay. So he'd always do that. Hey, while you're getting yourself a bowl of popcorn, you're gonna get me. He'd say stuff like that. Do you understand? Even though I wasn't planning to do the thing, do you understand?
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Okay,
I was just thinking, I could just imagine my mother saying that, and it wouldn't have been a bad thing because I'd have been like, oh, not only is she asking me to bring her something, but she's giving me permission to have something. So I'm going to go do that thing.
Well, I was older at this point, so I did what I wanted. If I want to go to Checkers and get myself a eggnog milkshake on the way home from work, I'm going to do it. Or
is that a seasonal thing?
Late teens, early 20s. This was back in the late 90s. Okay.
Oh, okay.
They had eggnog milkshakes. There was something in them that the FDA would not have approved of, and probably neither would the drug czar or whatever. Okay, there was something in those shakes. There was something in there was something in those shakes that made me. They gave me a buzz. Okay,
and then you had the shakes after you were done, right?
Kind of, yeah. So I didn't drink those the next year. Okay, but I for a little bit I kept getting the eggnog milkshakes. All right, Who's in the house? Melissa Harrison Sons. Okay, 3.0. Good to see you. Matthew Flynn, Troy Pacelli. Hey, good to see you in the chat. Oh wait, you're right here. Okay. Brian Gil Martin. Now I got to try my boomer scroll where I try to go down the list through StreamYard, and I'm gonna get all discombobulated. Hold on. I don't have. I have the stupid mouse that's included with the Mac laptop keyboard. Auditor Dread, Casey Scott, Brian Gil Martin. I think I mentioned him. Wolf 10 Media, great to see you. Big Al Presents, hello.
Did you say Horizon Talker?
I don't know if I did, but welcome,
Horizon Talker. Not only Horizon Talker, but make sure that if you don't know Horizon Talker, go check out his YouTube channel. He posts some of his artwork and some of the work that he's doing. He needs support and he deserves it. Go check out what he's doing. Definitely.
Daniel Heron, Zootopia, good to see you. Leia Plus Size. Cool.
Oh, hey, Leia. How you doing?
Okay. I don't know if I missed anybody, but welcome. Whoever I missed. But yeah, Daniel and I will be doing Darkest Hour for the rewatch on Wednesday. So that should be interesting.
Yep.
That's the Churchill movie. You know?
Oh, and Netter's saying hi too.
In fact, they used to just call it the Churchill movie. Oh, that's Church. What's the name of that Churchill movie? They didn't call it Churchill. They called it something else. Darkest Hour, because I guess it was England's darkest hour.
Yep.
That's why
that was his. That was his famous speech. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of darkest hour, I am now officially sipping on a Guinness.
I like Guinness. I've had Guinness before. That's like my basic go-to when nothing else, when all else fails, Guinness works, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It tastes like burnt toast. To be honest,
it goes down smoother than. I mean, it's not a beer though, is it? What is it? What is Guinness? Or
it's
is
an
Guinness
ale.
just its own thing?
It's a dark ale. Yeah,
it goes down smoother than most ales though.
It's actually a dark bitter ale.
Yeah, I've had Guinness before. I told you though, I was in a restaurant the other night. Unfortunately, I didn't get one though. But they didn't just have Moscow mules. It was a mule menu. They had all kinds of different mules, and I'm like, there are other mules.
Yeah,
I'm like, they looked.
Tell me, did they serve in a copper cup?
Didn't get one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I thought about it. But.
I wonder because like the pub that I was talking about on Friday that was across from my office that we used to go to every Friday. That's where I got my first Moscow Mule, and they served it in a copper cup, which is tradition. And I was doing a little research online, and everywhere that I read basically said, yeah, they're traditionally served in a copper cup, and nobody knows why. We assume that the first, pub that put it out just happened to have had a whole bunch of these copper cups and made it a thing. But,
It's interesting, though. When I got them at the one bar in Orlando, I don't know if it was copper, but it was definitely metal. It was a metal mug, okay? It was like, it had, I don't know if it was more of like a aluminum, though, maybe. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was copper. It could have been copper, but it was silver looking, so I don't think that's copper. But maybe it's to keep the drink colder. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people think that way, but I don't think that... I think metal is a poor, it conducts heat more than it insulates. I think you're still better off with glass if you're trying to keep what's in it cold. Well, but, I think that with booze, especially when you have access to refrigeration and ice and all that kind of stuff, and you're at a pub or you're making it fresh, for crying out loud, it's as much about the panache and the, custom and, everything that goes into it, the zhuzh, so to speak. There's nothing wrong with those things. I mean, it's like the cherry on top. Does anyone really like the cherry on top? No, it's part of the garnish, right?
Gotcha. But I'm thinking though, aren't some sundaes served in metal cups? Or is that just again part of
yes? So
like
those
like friendlies,
those tulip style cups, they come in glass, but they also come in metal, and that's just because that was the way they did it, years ago at old fountains. And again, I think it was just what is the easiest material to get a hold of, the cheapest material at the time.
Oh,
that may not always be true over time. It may become more expensive, but you try to be traditional. I mean, there was a period where something that was very popular was uranium glass. Nobody makes it anymore for obvious reasons. So the only way that you can get it is to get it like on eBay, antique, and it's usually not very expensive because not a lot of people want it. But
wait a minute. Why is it called uranium glass?
Because it's glass that's made with uranium. And when you shine a black light on it, it fluoresces green.
No,
it's really, really cool. And if you have a glass of it, you can put it on a coaster with that shines a black light through it, and it looks really, really cool.
I read Radium Girls. That's not happening.
No. It's not like that. I mean, it's they say that the exposure you get from having a drink once a year from one of those glasses is about similar to what you would get to getting an x-ray of your teeth at the dentist.
So this was like probably maybe one of the safer things they could have done, but since they used it on everything in the beginning, people got scared.
What's even weirder, this is what's even weirder. It was like Victorian Edwardian style, right? And it's not like they had black light back then. The only possible reason for it was because it gave the glass a somewhat amber kind of look to it. That's the only reason that people can think of that they were made that way. But now, if in the modern day, like 70s ish, you take and you shine a black light on, you go, oh man, that's cool, but nobody's making it now.
Well, Just one word, that HBO show Chernobyl, that probably scared people too, right?
Well, there's that. And that's the other thing too. I mean, for all this talk about, believe the science and follow the science and science, and don't be a science denier, not enough people really know their science. So you have people going, well, we want zero carbon emissions and we want to get rid of fossil fuel. And okay, fine. So you're in favor of nuclear. No, nuclear is bad because, Chernobyl and Fukushima and stuff. And it's like, you're a moron then, because there is only so many options for fueling our world. And France has had no meltdowns.
Yeah.
And they're doing just fine with.
Well, when you watch the Chernobyl show too, you learn what went wrong. They were using substandard stuff, and they were not. It was a lot of stuff that went wrong that could have been easily prevented.
I had a buddy,
you understand? So
I had a buddy who was in the U.S. Navy's nuclear training program.
Yeah.
He then got himself a job in the private sector at, I'm not going to say which, but at a nuclear plant.
Yeah,
basically. I used to say he became a Homer Simpson, but the fact is, he said, look, he goes, I knew people in the nuclear training program that U.S. Navy was in charge, and the U.S. Navy is still, their nuclear training program is where all of the people that are in the private sector came from, and got their training. And he says there was one admiral that he knew of who completely lost his commission because there was what's it called? Somebody comes to check and make sure everything's done right. You know what I mean? The inspection. There was an inspection of one of his plants, and they found that some valve was not locked down the way it should have been. And it was something that was completely unconsequential. It was not being used. It was no danger to anyone. It wasn't important, but it was regulation. This valve was not locked down. This admiral lost his commission over it.
Wow.
That's how serious they take this stuff. And he said, we have, countermeasures on top of countermeasures. And none of those were in place in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And the Fukushima thing, there were some serious errors, but when you consider what actually happened there, a lot of their safeguards worked the way they were supposed to. It would have been as bad as Russia's situation if they didn't have those safeguards in place. These safeguards work, And really, radiation, people think it's this crazed monster. They believe that, a little bit of radiation getting into the ocean and Godzilla's going to come and wipe out, all the coasts. That's not how it works. Okay. Mother Nature is very much more capable than humanity. Okay. Don't be so pleased with this technological terror we've created. Okay. The ability to irradiate a planet is insignificant next to the power of Mother Nature. Okay.
Right. I think Michael Crichton wrote about that in one of the Jurassic Park books, I think.
Yeah, nature finds a way.
Yeah,
right?
Or just that we could do whatever to the planet. And
they talk about the oil spills in the Gulf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna have life. There's not gonna be any life there for over 100 years. In less than 5 years, you have bacteria spring up that's breaking down all the oil. 10 years later, it's like nothing ever happened.
That's good.
Congratulations, nature. And these are the same people that are predicting that the poles are going to melt by 2012. Oops.
Well, there are also people that were saying the poles were going to reverse or something, and it was going to be 2020, 2012, and
this is why people lose faith in the in quotes science.
Oh, can I post a couple comments though?
Sure,
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
This is
your channel.
I know you were about to say that. Okay, uranium glass, fun for the whole family.
Yeah,
sorry.
Exactly.
Uranium glass tricks. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. I read Radium Girls like last year, and I'm like, it's like, you can brush your teeth with it, and your teeth will glow. No.
Well, that's a little bit different from it staying, trapped in the glass.
I understand.
Glass is also, in fact, that's the other thing too. I was watching a whole show, a chemist, talking about this, working with uranium, and he was saying that he was trying to do Geiger counter readings of the uranium, and he was surprised at how little radiation seemed to be giving off until he brought the Geiger counter over the top of the glass where it was completely exposed, and it shot way up. And he's like, and that's when I realized how good an insulator of radiation glass actually is.
Yes. Okay. Oh, look, Zootopia says we were already supposed to be melted by acid rain. I'm not.
Yeah, remember acid rain from?
Yeah, they said that's the future, and you're going to go out and it's going to destroy you, and it's like that was a whole thing in the '80s. Remember?
Now,
future acid rain. One of the Highlander movies, Highlander 2. They were in the horrible future with the acid rain.
But we forget that second movie ever happened anyway. I will take the middle of the road on this because this is another one of those examples where their predictions would be true in worst case scenario if we continue to do what we were doing. But what these environmentalists fail to realize is that many of their desires for environmentalism actually go hand in hand with many of what businesses want. They think all businesses are evil and they just want to destroy the world and make as much money doing it as possible. But you know, there is no lumber company that benefits by completely deforesting and leaving us without wood because they go out of business. So that's why you will find that regardless of what laws you put in place, the lumber companies will always plant 2 trees for every one that they cut down. Why? Because they're thinking about their future as much as the world's future.
Exactly.
You know, and nobody is making great profits when they're putting out so much smog that it pisses people off and they don't want to do business with you in that city anymore. And people are leaving the city to get away from the smog. They go, oh, gee, maybe, these regulations they're putting on us, maybe there's a benefit to us too. So let's do this. And they tend to go beyond what they're being expected to do based on your laws. So when you hear about the U.S. refused to join the Paris Accords, oh, these Republicans are so bad because they don't want to join the Paris Accords. But what's actually happening in this country is the companies are actually exceeding what the Paris Accords demand. They're doing it on their own terms, and they're doing it in a way that's financially feasible for themselves and our country. So that's why we have lower emissions than the countries that are supposed to be part of those Paris Accords.
Exactly. No, I understand. Rosefire makes a good comment too. This reminds me of what you're saying. I think speaks to what he's saying. I think there is a difference between environmentalism and conservationism.
Good point.
Okay,
good point.
And I think that's what you are more along the lines with. I think a lot of people are along the lines. They always act like people that are conservative. They hate the planet or something. That's not true.
How many movies have you seen where the good guy and the bad guy team up against a worse bad guy? Why is the villain teaming up? You're my enemy. Why are you teaming up with me? Well, this is my planet too, and I want to still have someplace to live. Doesn't do me any good if my planet is destroyed. What am I going to rule over?
So it's like in Justice League when the villains team up on the cartoon, when the villains actually teamed up with the Justice League and said, "Hey, Darkseid's invading. It's our planet too."
Yeah,
it's like
that's exactly right. I mean, they're and that's the good subversion of expectation, right? When you want
Lex Luthor working with Batman and Superman, it's the weirdest thing,
and that makes and it makes perfect sense, and if you want to in quotes humanize the villain, that's how you do it. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah. So no, good points though.
But here I am all worked up. Maybe we need to calm down. Maybe we need to
talk about the
good old days. Maybe.
Yes, let's talk about the good old days.
Tell me about the good old days.
That's lovely.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Okay, we're going to talk about, and then we'll go into
and this is also a topic that you feel very strongly about because it has to do with high definition.
Well, I'll explain it. I'm
explain this techie stuff to me, Geezer.
Do you want me to do it now? We'll just do the story with the good old days, okay?
Yeah, let's put it all together.
We'll just all combine it into a big messy soup.
Well, maybe we should kind of give the background.
So they're Well, let's talk about what's been announced at first, okay? And then we'll talk about the movie. We're going to go reverse, and I'll see if I kick myself later. Okay, anyway, Howard the Duck. This is the news story. Howard the Duck reportedly getting a 4K Ultra HD release. This is where you're supposed to clap, dude.
Yay!
Hey,
considering my Blu-ray player isn't even working and I won't be able to actually see it anytime soon, you know.
Right.
But
oh, you got it getting repaired?
I'm gonna have to buy a new one. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do.
Well, anyways, yes, well, you can get yourself a 4K Blu-ray player now, because you do realize you just had a regular Blu-ray player, okay?
I did not realize these were
it's not Ultra HD. It's not Ultra HD, okay? Howard the Duck is already on HD. It's already on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I might have bought it for like when it was on sale for $5, and it's Howard the Duck, and I'm asking myself why I did that. But anyway, Howard the Duck is now coming to 4K. You're now going to have 4K's worth of Howard the Duck. I'll read a little bit from the article. Howard the Duck, the cult 1980s movie, is reportedly receiving a 4K Ultra HD release in celebration of Willard Huyck directed movie's upcoming 35th anniversary. I'm feeling older. Okay. Dawn of this reported the release news on Twitter, writing, coming to 4K Ultra HD in July from Universal Pictures, Howard the Duck 1986. More info, TBA, which means to be announced, in case you didn't know. Okay. The account captioned the post with the movie's original poster, which shows the titular character sitting in a recliner and smoking a cigar while reading an issue of the
titular character. I think that's a great word.
Well, especially since he's looking at Play Duck. Okay, there's an issue of Play Duck. Okay, yes. Released in 1986, Howard the Duck was based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name. The film follows the alien duck's adventures on Earth after he is suddenly beamed from Duck World, a planet of intelligent ducks. Along the way, Howard saves a rock star named Beverly, Leah Thompson, from thugs and forms a friendship with her. Later, he meets Phil, played by Tim Robbins, who works at a lab with scientist Dr. Jennings, Jeffrey Jones. Things get sketchy, however, when Dr. Jennings attempts to return Howard to his world, but instead transfers an evil spirit into his body. Well, it's really an evil alien, but anyway.
Whatever.
While the film received mixed reviews at the time of its release, Howard the Duck is also known for inadvertently creating Pixar. Howard the Duck was made in part by the George Lucas-owned The Graphics Group. When the film proved to be a financial failure, Lucas decided to sell some of his assets, including the Graphics Group. The entity was then bought by Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, who renamed it Pixar.
Nice.
So there's some lesson, okay? Okay, let's talk for a minute.
What is the value of a movie like this becoming HD? Do you want to give us a graphic?
Okay, I need to explain this to you, and you're not understanding this. It already has become HD. Now they're bumping it up to 4K.
Oh,
see, 4K is 4 times the HD. It took me a while to even figure this out because the techie guys never explained this. 720p, I believe, and I could be proven wrong in a month and I'll realize, oh, I had this all wrong. Okay, so take this with a grain of salt. Okay. I believe that 720p is 1K. I believe that 1080p, which is Blu-ray, you know, and most HD TVs and most game consoles, base game consoles go up to that at least, is 2K. And then twice the 1080p is 4K. That's the Ultra HD, which according to a video I watched on YouTube, this guy was explaining that most human beings cannot see in 4K.
Right.
You need 20/20 vision and need to have had be wide awake and had a very good night's sleep, and you can catch all the detail in 4K.
In other words, it's more real than real.
More real than real. Don't even talk about 8K. Yes, the 8K television has been invented. But anyway, what's the value of Howard the Duck getting released or even getting released on regular Blu-ray at all? Why do we love Howard the Duck?
Because we want to see certain scenes as clearly as possible. That's my reason for wanting.
Would you like to show what this movie's about?
Go ahead.
Some scenes from it.
Put it up. I've shared it with you. You just need to add it to the stream.
Oh, add it to the stream. Okay.
This is why we need HD. This is why.
What do we think, chat? Huh? This is a this is
and if that's not enough, If that's not enough for you,
Show another pic. Just do it.
I'll show the other one.
This is considered in 1985 when it was released, I think, or 84. It was around then. I think it was 85. This was considered a family feature. I'm not kidding you.
All I can say is wow.
Okay, that's Leah Thompson, and I guess this is the seduction of Howard scene that gets interrupted by Tim
actually,
Robbins.
I think it was unintentional on her part, or it was
of
meant
course
to
it
be.
was, and his feathers start sticking up on end, and I don't know what that's a euphemism for, but anyway.
Oh no, that didn't mean anything. No, let me.
All right, should I remove this now?
All I need, well, it's
I'm
up on my screen. I can
gone.
watch.
You can look at it all night long. We're not. This is a clean stream. That is not safe for work. Those images.
I gotta tell you, man. I got it. Well, you know, when you cut this out and you make it its own thing, that needs to be your thumbnail, man. That'll get the views. Let me tell you.
Okay, you'll have to send it to me. Yes.
I just gotta. I sent it to you already. You said
you
no.
Sent me the thumbnail for the stream. Oh, the individual ones. You're right. Never mind. Anyway, we're talking too much. Go ahead.
But did you see what I did there? But I tell you, this takes me back to the future. If I was Marty McFly, I think I would have, not continued to exist. I would have changed history.
That's like the movie that I forgot the name of it. It was Justin Timberlake, and the plot line is that no one ages anymore, but but now your time is like your currency, and if you lose all your time, you die. And so his mother was the same age of him, and I think his mother was played by the woman from Tron Legacy. I always stumble with titles, but I was saying if she was my mother, I might have an Oedipus complex. Right? I'm sorry. Let's stop talking.
No, you're absolutely right.
Olivia Wilde. Yes. Okay.
Olivia Wilde. Right.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, but
just yeah.
We're off track. Let's go back in time.
In fact, I think in my version of Back to the Future, the picture would change from Marty and his brother and sister to like 12 Martys.
Okay. This is going to be fun to edit together when I eventually make it a good old days. Okay.
You know what? You just need long bleeps. It'll be that much funnier.
Howard the Duck was released in 1986. Okay. And this is actually, in my opinion, what? I'm trying to talk about the movie. We haven't even talked about it yet.
I'm reading what they're talking about in the stream.
What are they saying? The kids don't know what the Howard the Duck movie is. They know the character from Guardians of the Galaxy that pops up. Okay.
Yeah, and if they were to redo it today, that's probably the Howard the Duck we'd get. And I understand that, because that maybe is a little bit more faithful to the Howard the Duck of the comics.
Okay. When people have a lot of nostalgia for the 80s, and I think it's a lot of these young millennial types that weren't really around to enjoy the 80s. But not everything about the 80s was good. And I know people are going to start yelling at me and say, why are you picking on Howard the Duck? Because it's not a good movie. That's why I'm picking on it.
It really wasn't. Yeah,
it's an interesting bad movie. I'm going to give it credit. It's interesting.
I think when we were talking about this earlier in the week, Boomer, I said that you could take Howard the Duck, edit it down to 15 minutes of footage like this of Leah Thompson, and that's all the good stuff about the movie. You can drop the whole rest of it.
I am tolerant. Howard the Duck basically is a different movie halfway through. Now, the first half, it's about these Earth scientists, or this duck. There's a duck planet, okay?
Yeah.
Howard the Duck lives on a duck planet. There are all kinds of ducks on the duck planet. There's a duck society. Instead of George Washington, they have George Mallard or whatever. I'm sure there's a duck name for him. I don't know what it is, okay? There's Raiders of the Lost Beak, I think. Was that the title of the movie?
I don't remember.
Yeah, poster he had on this wall. There's like Play Duck. It's like everything of our world is there, but it's all duck, okay? It's all duck form, okay? And Howard the Duck is sitting on his couch, okay? And on his easy chair, and then the beam reaches out, sucks him, and sends us to Earth. Okay, sends him to Earth, not us. Well, we get sent with him because we see him go through the. Right. That's all I just think was getting sent to Earth. Okay, and he ends up on Earth in 1980s Cleveland, Ohio, and everybody is awful and mean to him until he meets Leah Thompson, who's a punk rocker, and she's not so bad. Okay.
No, she's not bad at all. Not bad
she
at all.
Actually, I'll say that she did the 80s punk rock girl look very well, okay, in that movie.
She did. Well, I don't know what look it was, but it looked great.
That's like, never mind. Anyway, uh, anyway,
that was my puberty, people. Just saying.
That's fine. Anyways, so the rest of the movie is about him trying to survive on Earth in 1980s Cleveland, and he goes to the unemployment office, and the lady's saying, "I don't know what you're trying to pull with this stupid costume. You're not getting one off on me. You're not gonna get an unemployment check. I'm gonna find you a job." And he gets a job at a hot tub place, and it's like this stuff is in a kids movie, by the way, and the women.
No,
the men
it's worse than that. Did you know that Howard the Duck himself was played by kids? So those scenes of Leah Thompson lying next to him in bed, that was a kid. And she has talked about this and said how uncomfortable it was.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole movie is weird. Okay.
Look, if you're an actress and you're playing against, say, I don't know, Billy Barty, okay, fine, older man. I have a love scene with him. He's in a costume, whatever. It's acting. When it's a kid, that's just weird and creepy.
The whole thing weird.
Yes.
Oh no! Don't do this to me. Leah Thompson or Phoebe Cates.
Why not both?
Yeah,
both is good.
I don't know. Anyway, we're getting off subject here. We're trying to talk about the brilliant film that was Howard the Duck.
Not necessarily at the same time, because that would freaking kill me. Okay?
So the scientists had this beam that they would beam things from other planets with. So then they do another beam, and then one of the dark overlords of Delgon or whatever, some evil alien race, beams into the guy that played the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then he gets possessed. And then it's all about him shooting lightning out of his hand like Emperor Palpatine, and like a bad scene at a diner where like he messes up the diner, and and then the police are after Howard, and they say, "What's the charge? Illegal alien." And it really goes downhill in the second half. And it's just,
as a kid who was every bit as much a hornball as I am now. Okay, so I still appreciated Leah Thompson the first time I saw this movie. Okay, don't get me wrong, but I looked at this movie and I was like, this is what George Lucas is doing instead of making another damn Star Wars film. The fuck?
I looked at that movie and I was thinking, this is the Marvel Comics character George Lucas picks out of all the myriad of Marvel Comics characters. You could have done an Incredible Hulk movie.
Well, in fairness,
there had to be another character besides
Howard.
No,
it probably was either this or Deadpool, really, and he wanted to do something a little bit lighter because let's face it, this is tongue-in-cheek, silly, and that's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to do serious superhero story.
Can I be blunt? And I'm not saying this to be mean.
No, yeah, go ahead.
He's not so good at the comedy stuff, Lucas.
No,
some of his comedy
he's
stuff
also not good at the romancy stuff.
No, I mean I like a good comedy. Get John Hughes to do the Howard the Duck movie. That would have been a kick butt movie. In fact, the first half almost feels like a lesser tier Hughes movie until then we start getting into the whole dark overlords of the universe, and it's just stupid at that point. I'm sorry, I don't like it.
Daniel Herron, Soundtracks with Birdman, says, if I was 12, I'd want to have sex with Leah Thompson. I said, I know, me too. And he said, Troy Pacelli, I would pound hashtag that me too.
This is good. This is going to get the stream banned now. Okay, you realize that, right? I'm going to be cast out of lovely YouTube land. Okay. Anyways,
nobody is paying attention to us. We can get away with whatever we want. I can get away
with whatever I want to say, except for naming the disease that's affected our society, even though it pops up in every news article I want to read from. Anyway, okay. What was I going to say, though? Howard the Duck,
it's funny that topical things that really need to be talked about are in the algorithm that are going to get us demonetized and banned and, the stream dropped or whatever. But we can talk about sex. We can talk about Leah Thompson. We can talk about...
You can talk about awkward Howard the Duck.
F word, C word, every other word. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, well, for now. Anyway,
12-year-old cuties and every other thing is perfectly fine.
Anyway, do you have any... Okay, when did you first see Howard the Duck? Personal experience. We're not going to say on this all night, guys.
When it first came out. What year was that?
1986. Did you go to the movies to see it, or did you wait for video?
I saw it on cable. So
yeah, so did I. Okay, that's
so it
where
was probably
saw
what,
it.
87?
You and I were probably watching at the same time. Yeah, on Showtime probably.
So I was like 15, 16 at the time. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I was probably like 10 or 11 or something like that, or maybe younger. I don't know. And it was just, it's
wow.
I know that, but I don't. I was thinking at the time, yeah, this is good. It's George Lucas. I like those effects they used for the Dark Overlords. Because back then, you would watch a movie if the effects were good. Even if the rest of the movie was crap, you'd still like the effects. Because back then, it wasn't all CG stuff off the wazoo.
Okay, so I'm all for this. Daniel Heron says, at Troy Pacelli, Howard the Duck rewatch next month on Soundtracks with Birdman, and you're coming on. I'm there. I am so there.
Okay, we will do a Howard the Duck rewatch.
Wow, wow, wow.
Do you own it?
Of course. Leah
what,
Thompson.
What do you own it on regular DVD?
Yeah, everything I have is pretty much.
I have it on Blu-ray. I get to watch it in full 2K glory, not 4K glory, unfortunately, like the new Blu-ray that's coming out. Who's buying this 4K Howard the Duck?
I will.
Go to
even if I can't watch it, I need to have it.
Go to a tattooist, man, and get loser tattooed on your forehead. I'm sorry. I'm going to be nice to Howard the Duck. I'm sorry.
Dude, I'm still looking at this picture of Leia Thompson.
I bought it on Blu-ray. What do I have to
say? There's nothing you can say against Howard the Duck when that's up.
I understand that, but well, you know, we're saying always nice about Leia Thompson. I don't think this helped her career. This movie. I think this did damage.
No, I think you're right, because it was a crappy movie overall.
And I feel bad for her.
Great in it, but that's also, it was off brand for her, because she wasn't going for, you know, hot sexy. She was going for serious actress, and this isn't how you become serious actress,
no,
right?
Not by starring in Howard the Duck. Oh,
you know,
man.
A lot of people would say that, you know, I mean, we all drool. You know, someone mentioned Phoebe Cates earlier. Yeah, we drool over her, and you know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but that did not accelerate her career at all.
Well, she was in Gremlins.
Yeah, but she was fully clothed in that. I mean, who wanted to see that, right?
She was in Drop Dead Fred. I believe she was fully clothed in that, but you got to see the dude from The Young Ones spreading dog poop on the floor with his feet. Okay. Anyway, we're off track. Let's get to other news stories. This was good old days.
I'll tell you what, this was and it was our first news bit of the day. So we kind of covered two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, guys. It's all downhill from here.
No, it isn't. We have some good news tonight. It's not all bad. Okay. Don't be negative.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's to coin another phrase. Anyway, Disney. Yes, here we go.
And yet we're going into dismal Disney, right?
Well, this in some ways, it's not necessarily Disney's fault. It's how people are reacting to something at Disney, which is the problem. I love our modern era. I think you know how you ask, you know, you make notes on these articles you read, and my notes underneath this article read "Kill me now" in bold letters, exclamation points. Okay. In case I didn't get the point, kill me now. But I'm going to read the article, okay? I don't like these modern times, but I'm going to read from the article. I feel like I am dumber for reading it. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Disneyland's revamped Snow White ride is facing backlash over Snow White and Prince Charming's kiss while she's asleep. This is from USA Today, okay? Great newspaper. Maybe not. Okay, the classic Disney story goes like this. Snow White is poisoned by an evil queen and falls into a comatose state. That is until Prince Charming's quote-unquote true love's kiss breaks the spell and they live happily ever after. SF Gates managing editor Katie Dowd and reporter Julie Tremaine wrote an article explaining while the ride itself is quote-unquote really good, the famous kiss is problematic. Dowd and Tremaine argue Prince Charming is shown kissing Snow White without her consent, and it cannot possibly be true love. It's hard to understand why Disneyland of 2021 would choose to add a scene such as with such old-fashioned ideas of what a man is allowed to do to a woman, Dowd and Tremaine wrote in the article. But not everyone agrees with the criticism surrounding the Snow White ride. Fox News host Todd Pirro shared his take on Monday. He said Prince Charming's kiss on a poisoned Snow White was comparable to someone needing CPR,
Yup.
according to the Independent. He goes on to say other things that I can't even mention on the stream. I'm going to talk about him after this.
Does he talk about what
he talked about story? College R culture, and he's like, I'm concerned about the college R culture too.
Well,
shut up.
No, but there's something to be said for that. If you're going to talk about this particular topic, talk about it in terms of real cases, okay? Not this, because the analogy to this being CPR is far more applicable, okay? I made a comment on the Clownfish TV talked about this, and I made a comment on their video. I said, when you are a first responder and you are responding to someone in distress, someone who is choking, for example, if possible, the guidelines say you should receive consent. I want to lay hands on you in order to assist you. Is that permissible? If they are incapable of responding, if they do not respond or are completely unconscious, then you are assumed to have consent to save their life. That's the whole concept of first aid. That is the whole concept behind Samaritan laws. Okay, so he comes along, sees this poor girl in a coma, gives her a kiss, and revives her. I think that's a perfect analogy, especially because, keep in mind, this is Disney. This is not the original story. The original story is by Grimm. Well, that's where the term Grimm comes from. Okay, Grimm was very different. She woke up because she was having a baby, and yeah, that's a little bit more than first aid.
Okay,
that's problematic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's. Oh boy. Okay. Did Anne Rice write that story? Okay. Anyway, I'm
telling you, these older stories, that's the funny thing. We've already sanitized all these stories, people. If you still have problems with them, oh my goodness, you should just join a cloister. Auditor
Dredd says, forget the guy saved her life for the fact that this is a fictional story. They don't see things as fictional anymore. They see all that. They don't understand that. They don't understand. What is it? Leia Plus Size says, what they're saying about Snow White is just stupid. Let's guess they hate it because it's a straight kiss. Probably. I think because it's romantic between a man and a woman. They don't like romance. Hollywood is anti-romance now. But to be fair, it's not Disney saying this. It's the people in these articles.
Here's the other thing too. Okay. If you're in a coma, do you have a DNR? Because if you don't have a DNR, you're essentially giving consent to them to try to revive you.
Yeah. Oh, I want to make a point though. Rosefire says SJWs would rather have Snow White sleep forever rather than be awakened and rescued by a man.
And this is the problem that so many men are having today. You're now starting to hear about women. I can't get a date. Well, the reason you can't get a date is because, men going their own way. They're going, screw this. I don't want to get me too'd. So, you know what? I'll stay home, drink a beer, and watch a movie. I don't need you.
Or watch the game like I used to be able to before they ruined that too. Anyway, okay. What are we going to talk about? Okay. I want to make another point too. All this complaining about, isn't that essentially what happens at the end of Rise of Skywalker? I'm just thinking about this. Doesn't Kylo Ren kiss Rey and I guess gives up his life force to save her and then fades away and then she's alive again? Oh, but maybe she was dead at that moment. So she's dead. So it's okay to the necrophilia things. None of this makes any sense. Yeah, none of this makes any sense.
Is Rise of Skywalker problematic too, people? And just watch their brains go into grind mode because it's like,
Okay, can I say something? This is the last part of this article. While some saw nothing wrong with the kiss. Yes, it's a nice dry little kiss. It's never mind. Okay. While some saw nothing wrong with the kiss, it led other families to feel uneasy. When Disneyland's doors reopened on April 30th, following a 400-day closure due to the, I can't name it, pandemic, Amanda Cruz said she and her 8-year-old son were among the first in line to enter. Although an avid Disneyland goer, Cruz said Snow White and Prince Charming's kiss led to a quote-unquote uncomfortable conversation with her son. Cruz said he asked her, why did they only kiss when she was asleep? She noted 2021 is the year of topics of consent and racism are discussed at home, but not reflected in amusement parks. I understand what the SF Gate article is saying. It made me have to explain when and when not to kiss someone.
You know what?
My boy,
hold on right there.
Told, USA
I would want to
Today.
ask. I would specifically want to ask that mother, have you never kissed your child when he was sleeping?
Yeah.
Have you never done that? Because I don't know any parent that hasn't done that.
There.
Do you specifically ask your child, is it okay if I give you a kiss?
It's also the expression
that's
that
problematic
it's also
too.
the expression that all kisses are sexual in nature.
Yeah.
Also, it's just this is. I don't know what era we're living in now. This is making they always make fun of the 1950s.
Why,
I'm starting to wonder
why
if the
are we not
1950s
charged with desecration of a dead body when we kiss somebody at a wake?
Yeah,
they're not giving consent. These people are just such dumbasses. They're literally making up shit to be pissed about. And this is the problem. We don't have enough companies that are responding correctly by basically saying either nothing and just not responding and not feeding the demons, or just saying, you know what, you're a dumbass. Shut the hell up.
I don't get it.
If you don't like it, don't come to our park. That's what I would say. Because I'll tell you what, this is what's happening. They're basically pushing away the majority of fans by catering to this minority bullshit, when what they should be doing is pushing away these minorities and saying, you know what, you have a problem with it, please don't come to our park. We try to keep it as family friendly for everyone as possible. And if you want to look for reasons to be offended, don't come to our park. It's that simple. We want everyone to have a good time.
Yeah, I know. Also, I'm sure this mother has a subscription to Disney Plus, right? Or
I don't know. Who
even
knows?
has a library card. Just go show your son Snow White. That's why he kissed her, because an evil witch put a spell on her that couldn't be rewoken except with true love's kiss. Okay,
that's the other problem, Wolfie. When they switch the genders, it's okay, and that is the biggest load of hypocritical bullshit I've ever seen.
Ah, I'm done. I'm done. I don't know what to say to this level of stupidity.
But here's let's put the positive spin on this, right? This article is basically having the same response with everybody who reads it. Everybody who looks at this goes, "Are you kidding me?"
No, but this article also proves something, like with the Fox News host. He goes on to, I think, to say stuff like, well, I'm against the R culture on college campuses, and of course that's not all. And he's going on, and it's like the old idea that conservatives always take the left's narrative and runs with it, and then it's always like the 2 steps far, like they only cede a little bit of ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, listen to me. Now, I agree with you that I think 1 out of 2 men in the United States having to get disemboweled, that's too far. 1 out of 3, I can go along with that. Okay. I mean, no, that's what I'm feeling like a lot of the time these days. It's I don't know. Stop.
Well, here's the other thing too. This whole, you know, I guess you're right. We gotta bow to the algorithm. So the R culture, this whole thing,
yes.
These myths, okay, these myths, okay. It's right up there with the gender pay gap. These myths that they keep acting like it's proven science, and it's actually a huge myth that people keep perpetrating, right?
Yeah.
Is R a real thing? Yes, it happens. Yes. And it's a horrible thing.
It's a horrible thing.
Guys need to have their freaking tallywhackers chopped off when they're convicted of it. Okay,
they need to be prosecuted the full extent of the law. Yes.
But the idea that it is such a big thing on campuses, no. What is a problem on campus is a bunch of stupid kids doing a bunch of stupid things, and then after they've done those stupid things, they go, "Oh, it's R. This was R," even if it's not even they're not even the ones that were involved in the thing.
I think there
wasn't. And then the people that were involved were like, "Oh yeah, maybe that's right. Maybe
there was a case where both parties were drunk, but the man still got blamed for it, even though they were both not out of their anyway.
Yeah. Well, and
Okay.
there's so many cases of consensual situations, but then the following day, everybody's telling her, "Oh, this was, you were coerced, you were coerced, you were coerced." Okay, maybe I was coerced, and it's. I'll tell you what it really is. It's a bunch of stupid kids. I don't want to get us too far off topic, but we have states that are arguing over whether or not kids 18 to 21 should be allowed to have concealed carry. They're old enough to go and carry a weapon in defense of their country, but they're not entitled to their Second Amendment rights.
It's ridiculous.
But if we're going to have that conversation, then we need to start having that conversation about are these kids old enough to drink and party and do the crap that they're doing in colleges. Colleges are just a fucking den of stupidity. And I think if you're sending your kid to a college these days, you got to kind of have your heads examined. Yeah,
you have to have a talk with them at least. I don't know. I mean,
I'm sending you to school to go to your classes, get your grades, get the fuck out. The first year that you go and I find out you've been partying more than you've been studying, you can pay for your school on your own, kid.
Yeah, what was I doing? I had a weird college experience because I went to community college, so I commuted from home, and then eventually I went to finish the other 2 years later on. But it was more when I was older. Do you understand? So I didn't really do the party thing, which maybe I would have liked to have done. But it just wasn't I just didn't get around to doing it. But
Brian Gilmartin says he's glad he never went to college. I'll be honest with you. I went to college for 3 years. Got married, and because I got married, I lost my my financial aid, and I was not prepared to start taking out loans to pay for the whole thing because I had to then go to class and work full time to support a family. I couldn't do it. I fell into that the middle class gap. Right. I used to be poor enough to get decent financial aid, and if I was rich enough, my parents would have been able to pay for it, but I was suddenly middle class and couldn't afford it. So I said, well, screw it. And I got out and I worked full time and I paid off my college debt. And now we got these fucktards that want to talk about, I want my college paid for. I don't want to have to pay for my college loans. Fuck you. I paid for them and I didn't even get all the way through it to get my degree.
Yeah, I know. It's one thing. I think all this, what we've been saying, what everything pulls out is that I feel like they're trying their best to push off adulthood with people to like infinity. It's seeming like now. Like I was making a point, like when we were watching the Captain America Civil War movie, how the Peter Parker in that was different than the Peter Parker we saw in Spider-Man Homecoming. How he acted more immature for his age than the old Spider-Man we knew, and then like it's just seeming like now you can't have a gun at 18. That's like the new thing. Am I wrong here? I mean, I don't know. It's just an impression I get that the powers that be are trying to keep everybody as an adolescent. To like,
Rosefire says
they're in their middle age. I don't understand this.
Rosefire tells me that I would be the dorm counselor who would put the fear of God into all the college kids on campus. Oops. No, not nowadays. Nowadays, I would be fired the minute I spoke to one of those kids. I would be, they would say I made them feel uncomfortable. I was. Shaming. I'm an istophobe, and I'd be gone. No, I would not be able to work in academia. And I'll tell you something.
There we go.
I feel like anyone who works in academia who just keeps their head down and doesn't want to upset anybody and then behind the scenes talks about how bad things are, you're a hypocrite. Fuck you.
Oh, well, to be fair, if there are answers to that's going to be, hey, man, I got a family. I got kids.
There are other jobs.
Okay.
There are other jobs. And I'm especially talking to people that have flirted with going into other careers and gone, no, I'm going to go back to the university and I'm going to, get my paycheck because, okay, fine. The reason that your other endeavors didn't ever work out was because you didn't go after it 100%. You got to sing like you don't need the money if you want it to work, but you do something half-assed and you're going to fail. That's just the way of the world.
But
people need to grow the fuck up these days.
Yeah, I know. It's just I wouldn't want to be in academia nowadays. It's not safe. It's I mean I myself that was something I thought about doing years ago, but it's not going to be happening now.
Matthew Flynn, I know that college and university is technically the same thing, but here in the States, not really. It's just a difference of who's paying for it and how much. That's the only difference these days.
All right, should we go on to our next topic of the night?
Go for it.
Okay, Marvel reveals Eternals' first look Black Panther and Captain Marvel sequel titles, an emotional salute to movie theaters. Now, this was, of course, the big news story this week. There are others, but this is the one I kind of.
Are you going to go ahead and read this one? Because I'm going to hit the head.
I'm going to read it. Go
Okay,
read it, and then hopefully by the time. Anyone who watched Avengers Endgame on opening weekend knows the shared excitement of seeing a movie on the big screen. Marvel, the studio behind that superhero blockbuster, and dozens of others paid tribute to the emotional sensation that many have been missing in the past year in a newly released feature that gave viewers the first taste of its upcoming comic book adventure, The Eternals, and revealed the name for its sequels to Black Panther and Captain Marvel. The action-packed footage served as a highlight reel for Marvel's Phase 4 movie slate, which picks up after the events of Avengers Endgame and spotlights Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, and Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, among others. We go to escape, to get lost in a story, to feel connected, to share moments we will forever remember, it says in the trailer. The message comes after an especially trying period for the movie theater business, one that's left cinemas struggling to survive after prolonged closures and a dearth of new releases. In the next few years, Marvel will be making up for lost time with no less than 10 tentpoles on the calendar through 2023. That includes the newly announced dates for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is scheduled for February 17th, 2023, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, set for May 5th, 2023. As revealed in the feature, the sequel to Black Panther has officially been named Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's expected to hit theaters on July 8th, 2022. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has previously confirmed the late Chadwick Boseman's role of T'Challa will not be recast. Boseman died last August after a 4-year battle with colon cancer at the age of 43. Captain Marvel 2, now titled The Marvels, will arrive in cinemas on November 11, 2022. In the follow-up, Larson's Carol Danvers is joining forces with Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, a.k.a. Ms. Marvel, as well as Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau. Vellani will be first introduced to audiences in Disney Plus's series Ms. Marvel, sorry about that, Ms. Marvel, which is set in the same universe as the film franchise and is slated to premiere in late 2021. The sizzle reel includes never-before-seen footage from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is out September 3rd, along with Black Widow, slated for July 9th. Black Widow, which will be the first theatrical release from Marvel since 2019 Spider-Man Far From Home. In a first for Marvel, Black Widow will debut simultaneously on Disney Plus as a concession due to the pandemic. What do we think?
I think it is hysterical. I think this was one of the first articles you sent me this week.
Yeah.
And my response was the meme of SpongeBob SquarePants doing the rainbow. Nobody cares. And it's true. Nobody cares anymore about Marvel.
You say this. We'll see.
I
know you don't care anymore about Marvel, okay? And maybe the people in the chat don't.
No, here's the people that care, okay? This is the irony of it, right? They've done basically what Star Wars did. They pushed away their hardline fans. Their hardline fans no longer care. And the small minority that they were courting, the social justice warriors, are now no longer happy with what they're getting, so they're going to bitch about everything. And those are the ones that they're going to point to and go, oh, it's a small minority group of ists and phobes that are upset about this, that, and the other. And it's like, yep, these are the new fans that you wanted. Good luck. Bye.
All right. Should I read some comments from the
Yeah.
chat? Hold on. Marvel Phase 4 should be called the MCFU to fans because they don't make movies for fans anymore. That was Leia plus size's
You
comment.
almost got a
Leia.
spit take out of me, Leia plus size.
Okay. Rosefire. Oh no, not Ms. Marvel. The entire MCU will be launching endless press releases about how she represents minority female oppression and the problem of Islamophobia in the United States. Oh man, I hope they're not going to go there, but I don't trust them. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, Miss Stretch Armstrong. Yeah, she's a great superhero. Everyone's gonna love her.
Everyone's
gonna
they're
want
have
her
to fix that
bendy
for the
action
big screen.
figure.
They got to fix that for the big screen. That's not going to work.
Oh God.
Oh wait, hold on. Horizon Talker talked to a bunch of people this week who are still waiting to watch the next Marvel films. They're going to be decent box office numbers and Disney Plus engagement. See, I hate to say this, I'm more cynical than you are. I'm leaning more with Horizon Talker on this. I understand what you're thinking, how all the big names. Now I'm thinking no more Robert Downey Jr., and that's a big deal because he carried a lot of that universe. I'm sorry. He was one actor. A lot of people loved Iron Man and loved the fact that he would pop into movies.
The truth is usually somewhere in the middle, right?
I thought Chadwick Boseman was the closest we had as a replacement type actor for that, and then he unfortunately passed away.
First, I'm going to say I'm going to refute the last part of your comment right there, Horizon Talker. Disney Plus engagement has been steadily dropping. It doesn't exist in a vacuum, so it starts with the Gina thing. Then people got tired of waiting for the story to actually go somewhere for WandaVision.
Okay.
And they've completely tuned out now by the time Falcon and the Winter Soldier came along because they got sick of the SJW preaching.
I think you're correct as far as the television shows against. I think people are probably tired of Marvel. There's other problems with Marvel television.
I did specify the Disney Plus thing that he was saying.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
okay.
Now, as far as movies go, sure, there's plenty of people in our own community that go, "Oh, I just want to go have popcorn and enjoy it." And
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The way they set up that trailer, and this is where I think it's smart marketing. People like going to movies, and this is something that people don't. Some people don't understand that entertainment is as much a social activity as a solo activity. There's the stuff I watch because I personally like it and like to watch it.
Right.
Most people aren't going to be watching these weird Italian movies from the 60s and 70s that I love to watch. They may not necessarily want to play the old school video games, okay, or some of these niche games that are made today. But I can still enjoy the mainstream stuff, and I could go out and enjoy mainstream movies and talk to friends and family about, oh, did you see the Avengers movie, or did you watch the latest Game of Thrones episode or something? And it's something you talk about to be sociable, okay?
Sure.
So they're not going to be into the niche stuff you like, but they're going to be into this other stuff. And I think that's what Marvel is selling. You want to be part of a community again, don't you? Where you get to sit with friends and family and have that audience experience and know that everyone in the audience is having a similar experience, and you're all cheering when Falcon comes out and says on the left to Captain America and the team's back.
Guys,
and that's what they are saying. You're going to get that future experience just like that. Movies are coming back. That's how they're selling this.
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know somebody inside Marvel Studios like Doomcock or something like that. However, past is prologue. I am old enough and wise enough to know that if you know your history, you know what's going to happen. You see the cycles. It happens over and over again, and you can believe what you want, but that's like trying to believe that the sun's not going to come up tomorrow. Okay? It's going to happen. You know, because I understand the way these things work. And I look at what's going on with Disney, and I see a lot of things happening at Marvel that are very similar to what happened with Star Wars. What was that first JJ film? Did The Force Awakens make a profit? Sure it did. Did Rise of Skywalker make a profit? Maybe. But it underperformed.
Yes, and probably what you're going to see.
Did the last movie make a profit? Accountants can convince you that it made a profit, but is Disney happy with it? No. And where is the marketing on those movies? They don't exist. And the only people that went to see those films were the ones that went to eat popcorn and say, "Oh, look at the pretty explosions." Okay. That is not enough to build a franchise on, though, people.
Yeah, and
because look at even look at Terminator and I'm not even talking recent Terminators where it started to go woke. I'm talking the previous sequels to Terminator and Aliens and all the other Halloween. Every movie that came out, okay, they were popcorn movies. Horror films, you're going to see the blood and guts, you're going to see the explosions, you're going to see the whatever, the jump scares and whatnot, but the story's not there, so there's just not enough for people to say, I loved that movie. Well, people are leaving the movie going, yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed my popcorn.
Well, you're talking about like Halloween 4 as opposed to the original Halloween.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's exactly
because people went to go see Halloween because it was a good movie,
and that's
then
what
you
I'm
get the
saying.
sequels. Yeah.
To make the argument that nobody cares and they're just going to see another superhero movie and have popcorn. I'm sorry, that's not enough to make these blockbusters that are going to keep the franchise alive. It's going to die just the way every other franchise dies when you don't have people involved that are passionate about it and telling good stories.
And this is where you and I might be finally coming on the same page. I think that these movies will start out and they'll appear to be successes. I think over the decade, though, there's going to be diminishing returns, especially if they don't have a coherent plan in place, which I don't think they do.
Because people will go see this The Marvels, whatever it's called.
Well, no, you see the title, The Marvels. You're like, oh, I didn't really like that, Miss Marvel. Oh, this is The Marvels. What's this? I'll go. Oh,
yeah,
it's
and they go see
Captain
it,
Marvel again, and what is other characters?
It's the cinematic equivalent of scatter volley. Okay, they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. You don't like Cheese Girl? That's okay. We got Monica Rambeau. You don't like Monica Rambeau? That's okay. We got the Islamic girl that stretches. Okay,
there's something for
you'll find something there that you like, right? But I think the majority of people are going to go and say, yeah, I like Monica Rambeau, but I was sick of being preached at, so I'm not going back to the sequel.
Oh, Horizon Dog Breaks. Well, all I'm saying is that the die-off is going to take a long time.
I think the die-off is already started.
We'll see. I see. This is where I'm sort of on.
Excuse me.
I mean, I'm thinking a decade. I'm thinking by the end of the decade, interest in probably just superhero movies in general is going to be dying off.
I think 3 years tops.
I think it might take a decade. I think this whole decade is going to be
I think you're right, but I think that decade already started about 5 years ago.
We have a lot of mess going on right now. And I think one thing that's also going to accelerate it is I think Warner Brothers and their DC things well, I don't know how Marvel's going to be going the route with these movies too.
Honestly, look at what happened with Star Wars, okay? People went to Force Awakens and at the end of it, they had some criticisms, but they were like, I'll wait till the second one. After the second one, you saw immediate reaction. They didn't go to see Solo, and they didn't go to see the Rise of Palpatine. They didn't. They didn't buy the toys, and now Star Wars is in crisis mode. It abso-friggin-lutely is.
I am really
immediate.
How do you think Rogue Squadron's going to do?
Depends on who's doing. It depends on who's doing it and how it turns out and what the word of mouth is. Watch the first week's reviews, not reviews from the media. Watch the first week's reviews from the community.
Because
people
that's
like Doomcock and Midnight's Edge. I'm telling you, these people on YouTube are the ones that decide whether or not a movie is successful or not. It is now the case. And that is why Hollywood is so pissed and trying to cancel Geeks and Gamers and Midnight's Edge and Doomcock. That's why they're in such a tizzy.
See, I think what happened was, I told you, we lost the professional critic class.
Yep.
And Hollywood used to listen to them. They disappeared. So then you have these, I don't want to say amateur critics, because that's not saying that these people aren't professional. They are, but maybe new critics. These are the new critics, okay? Yeah. And they come about because as far as I'm concerned, they are professionals. But it's just they're not establishment critics. That's what it is. Okay,
Siskel
they're not
Ebert,
establishment critics.
And we still look at Siskel and Ebert's old reviews.
Yeah,
for the older films.
Yeah, I shared a review of
back in the day. Yeah. Siskel and Ebert were local to me. Right.
Oh, okay, Chicago. That's right.
Right, they were Chicago. So they were local to me. In fact, I knew people that knew them. So
I met them.
yeah, Nanette met both of them.
Oh, wow.
But I used to say, I don't listen to the critics because I don't agree with them, right? But the thing that I like in retrospect, looking back at Siskel and Ebert, was they would give their hot take. And sometimes they would come back later and go, you know what? I've reconsidered. We gave it a thumbs down before, but the more we thought about it, we're going to give it a thumbs up. And this is why. And they did that with Star Wars, basically.
Yeah. It's very rare when that happens. They did it later on. Ebert did it later on with the movie Donnie Darko.
Yes, he did.
He gave it a marginal thumbs down, but then he thought about it longer, and he didn't know what to do. So when the director's cut came out, he gave that one the thumbs up. Okay.
I'll be honest with you, though. The director's cut is better. That's one of those cases where I do feel the director's cut is better.
But both I think are good. But yeah.
They are both good. I do like Donnie Darko. Dark film.
It's good, though. It's a good dark movie, though.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, but yeah, Wolfton was mentioning a woman director. What's Patty Jenkins, the one who did the what do you call it? Wonder Woman. And let me tell you something. We've had female directors do some kick butt movies. I love Punisher Warzone. It's a B movie. That had a woman director. Did you know that?
Dude, that's just
Punisher
it. Who knows? Who knows who these
Gina Carano
are?
could direct the Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
kick butt. We'll never
that
see
is
that,
my
though.
point.
Yes. Okay.
You know, you're so quick to say, "Oh, you just hate women." I don't even have any freaking clue who wrote the movie, who directed it, because they're not in front of the camera.
I'm
All I care
this
is whether
too.
it's a good movie. You tell me it's a woman, am I going to suddenly hate it? No, I don't give a flying frack.
It says a lot to me too that what was it that we don't really, a lot of times we don't know who the directors of these movies are anymore.
Right.
And I think that's a big problem, because back in the old days, I would know who the director was almost as much as I would know who the actors were starring in it.
But I've said this many times before, Agent Boomer, I don't think enough people even really understand what the role of a director is, what the role of the writer is, what the role of the producer is.
I don't think Kathleen Kennedy does, which I find shocking because she worked on so many Spielberg movies. And I think all tour directors, Spielberg's up there with all of them. So you know what it's like to work for a tour director. And she ran so much interference on the Rogue One movie. She ran in, I'm assuming it was her running the interference, unless it was somebody else at the studio. We had another, I wanted to ask Stephanie when she was on your stream the other night. I wanted, because they lost the directors of Solo. Remember?
Yeah.
They had the guys that did the Lego movie, and they got canned, and they replaced them with
Kathleen Kennedy
Ron Howard.
Was not involved in the nuts and bolts of the making of the films. She was the producer. She was credited as the producer. All she did was sign a check and say, go make this movie and give me my profits. That's all she fucking did. Before that, all she did was bring Steven Spielberg his coffee. And maybe some other things. We don't know. But the point is, she was not directly involved in the making of films. And it shows in how she's running Lucasfilm today.
Yeah.
Look, leadership is a little bit of knowing your place, right? If I'm in charge of a company, okay, I have people in charge of different divisions. And I say, I want to report on how your division's doing. If it's not doing well, I'm going to read you to the Riot Act and say, if you don't get this straightened out, I'm going to replace you. But I'm not going to go and start picking apart how you're doing it. I assume that if you have that job and you're getting paid to do it, you know what the hell you're doing. And if you don't, I'll just replace you with someone who can do it better. Because I'm not the person who needs to know how to do that job. And I don't. That's a good leader.
Yeah, and to be fair, this has happened in Hollywood history where the movie's been taken away from the director, gets mad. I mean, look at Dune. I think Lynch took his name off of that movie, right? And you know, this stuff happens, but it seems like it's happening all the time now. Like the producers really are interfering with what the director is trying to do, and there's no trust. And it's just...
It's always been the case. I mean, going back to the original Superman, the Sulkides kind of, you know, pushed Donner out and you know, it ended up making the product that much worse, and you end up hurting your profit margin, right? You are a producer. You put up the money, you put the right people in charge, and you sit back and wait for the money to come in. That's what you're supposed to do. Because look, even a lawyer hires another lawyer to represent him. No lawyer represents themselves, at least an intelligent lawyer, right? So you may think as a producer, you know directing, you know writing, you know movie making. You're putting in the money, you hire people to do things, and you stand back. Okay? You can act like the first officer and say, "Are you sure about that? What about this?" Okay. You're the director. You do it. But remember, if this doesn't work out, I won't be working with you again in the future. Okay? That's how leadership is supposed to be. And that's not how this whole concept of micromanaging. I made an analogy, and go back and watch my last Friday stream for what I'm talking about. The comparison between FDR and Hitler. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the better leader, FDR or Hitler? Well, who won the war? FDR. Because FDR didn't always know how to win the war, but he put people in charge who did.
Yes.
Okay? Hitler micromanaged his people, and that's why we passed up on opportunities to assassinate him. He was our greatest ally.
Yeah, there was a remember on Justice League, when the cartoon, when Vandal Savage takes over the Third Reich because Hitler was incompetent. You know, so he takes it over. Basically, that was the whole, and history changes because of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what would have happened, and that's also what makes the whole Red Skull thing kind of unbelievable, because. And they kind of toyed with it in the Marvel Universe. He kind of realized that Hitler was incompetent, and that's why Hydra came into existence. But
anyway, yeah, I know. Well, we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see. I'm curious to see how these first one movies are going to do at the box office. Do any of them look good to you?
I will not see any of the Marvel things. One other thing I want to say about the Marvels. They're banking on Monica Rambeau. Look at the representation. I say, fuck you. It's too little, too late. She should have been the first. The
first one.
She should have been.
Well, I will say this. Maybe they're trying to course correct, and maybe they'll have to take over.
Too little, too late. Fuck them.
Okay. All right.
They're pandering now.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that any comic book fan who cares about Monica Rambeau, and every person of color should be pissed off and feel pandered to. That's all I'm saying. I am not a person of color. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I would think that if I was in that situation, that's how I would think about it. But I would be totally open to hearing from the community what they think about that. I think it's too little, too late. Gotcha.
So next story. Jurassic World VelociCoaster images reveal raptors, in Universal's roller coaster. So we got a roller coaster coming to Universal Studios Orlando.
I've never really had anything negative to say about Universal Orlando. I mean,
that's because this is not a negative story.
Yeah.
This is good.
Okay. No, you're right. You're right. It's the point is, we're used to how negative this world is. It surprises me when I am
making a conscious effort, okay, to maybe not necessarily do all the negative all the negative stuff. We want to also have it's not all bleak out there, people, okay? Mm-hmm. You can still enjoy things even with certain places. I mean, granted, we'll be hearing some horrible stuff about Disney Week. Check your news. But at least for now, Universal VelociCoaster, I like the Jurassic World movies. Have you seen them? You don't like them? Okay.
I'm sorry, I was distracted by Wolfie's comment. You're mucking Italian. You're pinkish orange too. You're a man of color. Okay, fair enough, man. But of course, Wolfie. I know Wolfie knows what I mean.
Well, I'm a mutant, but we'll talk about that in a later article. Okay.
Well, actually, I am too. I am the clot. We can talk about that later too.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Let's see here though. But new pictures of Jurassic World VelociCoaster.
Did you say nude pictures?
I said new pictures.
Oh, that's too bad.
The Velociraptor's already nude, okay?
That is true.
I mean, if that's your thing, we're not going to judge, okay? I'm just saying, you know what? Let's not go there because I just gave someone an idea out there. What?
I'm still back on Leia Thompson.
Okay, we're talking about Jurassic World. Anyway, new pictures of the Jurassic World VelociCoaster. I like that. I don't care. I like it. VelociCoaster. I'm sorry. I get a kick out of that. I know it's a pun. I don't care. Or pun-like. The VelociCoaster. At Universal Studios Orlando revealed the raptors that will be featured in the ride. The movie on which the ride is based centers on a theme park with real genetically engineered dinosaurs called Jurassic World. Problems arise when the Indominus Rex escapes and releases the wrath of the other dinosaurs. An experienced military and animal expert must protect the guests from the dinosaurs. Yes, Universal Orlando has been open for over 30 years. Over the park has been digital about growing and incorporating the movies that excite guests today. Good idea. They've done stuff like Despicable Me, Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, and all three of Universal Studios Islands Adventure, Volcano Bay. Is that a water park? Okay. Anyway, but let me see. It's going to be set in Islands of Adventure, though. It looks neat. You can actually look at animatronics as the raptors as you stay in line for the ride, and I think there's even stuff while you're on the coaster. But the premise of the ride is trying to escape the wrath of Jurassic World's Velociraptors, Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. The physical raptors seem to mostly be placed ahead of the ride. Okay, however, this will be an entertaining feature for riders who will likely have to wait a long line to board. Okay, so it's like while you're waiting, you get a little bit of a ride too. Remember the ET ride at Universal Studios?
Yeah.
Have you ever been there? Yeah, where you get to wait in the bar. This sounds really neat to me. Because sometimes the cool stuff is while you're waiting on these rides. Okay, and to be fair, I'll say something nice about Disney. The newer Snow White ride they did at Magic Kingdom, where they had like the it was like the going into the dwarf's mine, right?
Yeah.
And they had lots of stuff you could do while waiting. Like they had these little games you could play, like virtual games and stuff while you were waiting in line. It's neat. It's
was that problematic too? I mean, did canaries die or something like that?
I don't know. Again, the previous article wasn't us yelling at Disney. It was people yelling at Disney for not being woken up because nothing. See what you think you're satisfying them? Nothing satisfies them.
No, and that's why they've got to stop. You keep feeding the beast, and that they just keep coming back.
What does Universal do? They just give us a fun ride, and they gave us two. And I like Jurassic World. I even liked the sequel. It wasn't perfect, but I still liked it. I like Jurassic World. I like Jeff Goldblum standing before Congress, and they're asking him, shouldn't we save the dinosaurs on this thing because there's going to be a volcano erupting? No, nature's given us an out. We just have to do nothing. Okay,
yeah,
take care of the problem. What are you doing? Okay.
Wolf 10 Media. So what you're saying is life.
You want to post this comment?
Finds a way. There it is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I missed it anyway.
That's okay. Life finds a way, and
life finds a way. Life. Oh, was this in reference to your thing about being attracted to the nude velociraptors?
No, he was just saying in general. Yeah.
Okay. What is roast for? I think I just want one that says "Shut up and leave me alone," or the classic "Don't tread on me." Well, you burn that shirt. The "Shut up and leave me alone" will make them just come at you harder, probably.
Yeah.
Nothing works, man. I'm telling you.
What you were saying about Universal Studios theme park, and I'll be honest with you, Universal Studios has one thing far and away over Disney, and that's exactly what you said, Boomer. It's the standing in line. They make standing in line freaking fun, almost as much fun as the ride itself.
Yeah, the Mummy ride, you get to see all sorts of things, like Brendan Fraser appears on the screens and stuff, from the Mummy movies, and it's just
honestly, if I had been in a situation where there was no line and you just ran right through it, I would have totally missed half the fun of the Back to the Future ride.
Oh yes, that was another one.
That one, the being in line was half the ride. It sets up the story for the ride you're about to be on. It was freaking brilliant. And there's Easter eggs, and if you don't pay attention to all the little details, you miss something. you know, and it makes you almost want to go back and get back in line and check things out again. And I'll be honest with you, my first time through, I was kind of surprised when I would come to a point and someone would go, oh, go ahead. That's fine. I want to look at this first. Seriously, you know?
Yeah.
When I was on, and you can't, it's not there anymore, but the Jaws ride, there were some really great details. Now, of course, there's all these TV monitors where they are doing like an interview with, I'm forgetting the character's name, but he was the guy that was the skipper on the ship in the first Jaws movie. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And
it was it was like showcasing like the thing from the movie. I remember that.
Right, and he's like, he's in character, and they're like, the guy interviewing is like, so the first thing I got to ask you is, you know, we all saw the movie and we thought you died. He goes, oh, no. That's a big misconception. There was an error in the film that didn't get fixed. Maybe they'll fix it in one of the, you know, special editions or something like that. But they played the film backwards. Okay. He says, can you play that scene? And it shows the scene of him getting eaten by Jaws. Right. And he goes, they actually played that accidentally backwards. See, I was fighting my way out of his jaws and to get away from him. That's how I survived. They just accidentally flipped the film around. And I saw that and I heard and I started laughing. And it was the kind of thing where if you're not far enough in to see that monitor and hear it, you don't know what the people up in front of you are laughing about until you're then in that group. And then you start laughing and you're like, oh, this is good, you know? And then off to the side, down the beach, literally down the beach, and almost out of your view, like it's something that you're not supposed to see, there are oil drums with garbage in them, and they're just garbage cans, but it's in an area that you can't get to. So it's like, why would they have garbage cans over there? And piled around the garbage cans are boxes that say shark repellent. And inside the garbage can is a big styrofoam buoy with a shark bite out of it. I mean, these little details, all of this, and you got to pay attention when you're in the line or you'll miss this stuff. It's just brilliant. And I'll be honest with you, I must have been in that line for about 20 minutes and I didn't even notice the time. It went by so quickly. And I almost felt like I missed stuff. I almost wanted to get back in line.
Yeah.
But that's Universal Studios. And
they do all that. Brian Martin was mentioning the Spider-Man ride with all the cartoon stuff you got to see while waiting in line. It's the little details.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, they get rid of the Jaws ride eventually, though. Didn't they get rid of that recently? I think they did.
It was replaced with something else. Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, I get that you do have to change things up, and maybe if you did that every so often.
They only have so much space, and they do need to.
And they do. I do agree. They do have to do that. Plus, if you keep the same thing forever, then people start complaining about Trader Sam, and then it's just an easy way to avoid all that.
But there's also, you know, the kids nowadays who's seen Jaws. You know, that's the 1970s.
Jaws is something they used to have an earthquake thing. I think they got rid of. They had a Kong ride. Now, to be fair, Universal brought back a newer Kong ride. I think on the Hollywood version that was based on the Peter Jackson movie.
Oh,
so and now they could probably bring Kong back based on the new movie. So they could probably bring Kong back now. Especially if they keep doing Kong movies, King Kong movies. So what's old can be new again.
Better pointed out. And when at Universal Studios, ask for Babs.
What's that from?
Blues Brothers, which we'll be watching on her channel in a couple of weeks.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Oh, Animal House. I'm sorry, Animal House. Right.
Oh, okay. All right. But what was I going to say though? But you know, I'm looking forward to VelociCoaster. I'd also posted a thing in there. This kind of ties into this, but following Walt Disney World's announcement that they would be removing temperature checks for theme parks and resorts, Universal Orlando Resort is following suit. Universal Orlando team members confirmed that the temperature check stations will be removed from the parking garages and hotels at Universal Orlando Resort effective tomorrow, May 6th. Okay. Yeah. So, cool. So I guess things are getting, well, they've gone from 6 feet to 3 feet alongside removal of temperature checks. So,
look, I think most places are starting to get to the point where it's like, nobody cares. We don't care. You know,
apparently
at this point, if you're inoculated, you're inoculated, and if you're not, why are you even at this park?
You're taking your life in your own hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because it's like I think that someone also said a point that the temperature checks were a complete waste of time and didn't do anything or something. But
no, you're absolutely right. Because the incubation period of this thing, unless you actually have broken out, you know, with symptoms, you could go 2 weeks carrying the disease, being, you know, Typhoid Mary, and giving it to everybody else, and not even have a temperature.
Now, Autodress asking if you ever seen Peter Benchley's Creature.
It sounds like something I might have seen when it first came out, but I don't remember.
VelociCoaster sounds like Magic Mountain to me. What is Magic Mountain? Is that a that's not from Universal. Is that like one of the northern parks or something has that?
Magic Mountain, isn't that a Disney thing?
Oh, maybe
I don't know.
That's Big Thunder Mountain. I thought that was Big Thunder Mountain.
I don't know.
It's funny because when you live out of state, you know all your local theme parks, and then when you live in Florida, you just memorize everything, because you end up going to the parks multiple times, whether you plan on it or not. Okay, it's like, well, actually, if you're privileged like me, but but I haven't. Like I tell you, last time we did the Disney thing, I was not impressed. It just something was off. But we'll talk about that later, another time. I think I've talked about that before. They kept pushing things on me. I don't want to buy all this junk. Okay, just anyway. A new report, though. This is new. This is a story I'm interested in. Okay. A new report reveals details about a new Solomon Kane TV series in development, plus an update on the Conan the Barbarian. Okay. Well, I'm not going to talk too much about the Conan side of things, but apparently that's being done by, I think, the same people, so that's cool.
Well, I will say this. The Midnight's Edge has a couple of really good videos about Conan in general. They cover it so well, it would kind of be superfluous for us to go into it too.
Yeah, and Midnight's Edge, they had a really good video on here, and I think they had Razor Fist as a guest on there, and he was, I think he was asking about Solomon Kane. Did you ask this gentleman about Solomon Kane? Now, I don't know if many of you are familiar with Solomon Kane. I don't know if you are, Troy. I think you said you might need some help on that, right?
Well, I don't know the details, but in broad strokes, I get the general idea of what he is. In fact, I think they may have even mentioned this on Midnight's Edge. Solomon Kane is really the movie that we should have gotten when we got Van Helsing instead.
Yeah. Because they did a Solomon Kane movie, and I actually thought that their guest was fair to that. He was saying that what that movie was trying to do was it was trying to set up this is who he is before he becomes the Solomon Kane we know from the pulp novels, and that they were going to transition into that, which makes more sense to me. Because the Solomon Kane from the novels, he's like a gritty Clint Eastwood style character. He also a Puritan, like, you know, with the pilgrim hat and belt buckle hat. You know,
in a lot of ways,
kind of like.
In a lot of ways, kind of like the paladin we all played in Dungeons and Dragons. Right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because usually when we think of like Christian folklore, they tend to go with Catholicism, but there's a lot of Christian folklore and Puritanism too.
Yeah,
and that's a lot where the Solomon Kane stuff comes from, and movies like that wonderful movie Warlock. Remember Julian Sands' Warlock?
Oh yes,
that's a good one too. So you can pull from that too.
With Catherine with a K.
Yes, that's right. That's a great.
I love
film.
that line. I've never forgotten that.
That's it. That's a great movie. That'd be a good one to rewatch around Halloween.
My name is Catherine with a K. Oh, pleased to meet you, Catherine with a K.
Oh, that's funny. I guess he's from the 1600s, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And with a K is a perfectly.
And I like it when he runs into a Mennonite guy in that, right? And he explains, I'm from the past. There's a warlock running around. And the older Mennonite guy says, Dad, those are just stories you told us. Says, no, they weren't just stories. I'm sorry, this guy. And the Mennonite guy understood that what he was saying was completely factual, which I thought was fascinating. Because usually it's like, no, but this one guy, even living in the modern day, understands, oh, no, this stuff is really happening. Anyway, back to Solomon Kane, though. New report claims that producer Frederick Meinberg and his Cabinet Entertainment are developing a Solomon Kane TV series. I am very excited about this. I'm hoping this can be as good as it can be. The new report comes from Midnight's Edge founder Andre. Apologize if I get his name wrong. Einherjar. Am I getting his name right?
Got me. I always just say Andre.
All right, Andre. I'll just say Andre. Okay.
Andre from Midnight's Edge.
Is he the one from? Is he from Iceland?
He's from one of those Nordic countries. I
Okay,
don't
all
remember
right.
which.
Anyway, who claims to have spoken with Malmberg, okay? Talking a few to a fellow YouTuber Razorfist, he stated, "You asked me if I pinned Frederick Malmberg down and asked him about Solomon Kane. Now, I don't know about that pinned him down, but knowing that we had you on, of course I asked him about Solomon Kane." And he shared the news on YouTube. "Brace yourself, a Solomon Kane series is in development."
Yeah.
He then went on to provide details about what the show would look like. He said there will be no origin. It will begin with his adventures in Africa, and the model will be that they are kind of going for is like a Sherlock series, the one with Benedict Cumberbatch with 98-minute episodes. He continued.
I was confused by that. Did they mean that it was going to be set in the modern day?
No, I think they mean the format is. I think the Sherlock series. It tend to be like 4 episodes, and they'd each be 90 minutes long, and they're like self-contained episodes.
Okay. If that's what
I think that's what they're. I think that's what they're talking. No, it's not going to be the modern day.
My gut instinct was modern dress concept, and I'm like, I'm not for that.
No. And to be fair, if they want to do modern day, I mean, to be fair, Howard's modern day was still the 20s and 30s, right? But he had characters that were around in the modern day too that were interesting to write about. But they could always do one of them. But that's, I think they're going period. I think what will be the point otherwise. Good. Okay, yeah. Unless he time travels, but let's not go.
I gotta say, I'm kind of feeling the same way about this that I've been feeling about the Conan series, and that's don't fuck it up, please don't fuck it up, please be good.
I think our best hope might be with these people. I'll say this because this is independent. So this isn't some studio making it. They're making it on their own, and they're going to sell it to a place like Netflix or Amazon or whatever, and you know, try and get this on the air. I think they're in negotiations with Netflix, and I hope Netflix picks this up, and I hope this is what it could be. Because I've read a couple Solomon Kane stories, and I want to tell you about the beginning of a Solomon Kane story, right? Story starts out, there's like a village is on fire, and this young like teenage girl is running from the village, and like she's been mortally wounded, and she falls down the forest, and you see this Puritan, looks like a Puritan preacher type, right? Like, you know, a man of God or whatever, and he's like, and like he walks up to her, and she explains, Leloup, he and his men, they killed everyone, they robbed us, and you know, he's like, and she was worried that she wasn't going to go to heaven or whatever, and like he gives her, look, I'm going to give you the last rites, and you know, he does like a last rites thing for her, and then she dies, and you know, he prays for her to go to heaven, and then he raises his head, and Solomon Kane says this: "Men will die for this." Okay, and the rest of the story is him chasing down every member of this criminal gang all across France and other parts of Europe, and killing all of them and dismantling it one by one, and just going like, and
tell me that isn't the paladin of our D&D days.
Yes. This is just, he is out there. I think he thinks God is commanding him to do this stuff too. It's really a fascinating character. Fascinating.
These are the kind of characters you could really dig into too, right? Because I would just love to see one challenging episode where someone tries to say, you know, don't you believe and don't kill, turn the other cheek, blah 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 blah. Sure, I do. I also believe in grace. When I get to heaven, I'll be happy to talk to my Savior about it, and I will hang my hat on grace.
Well, you know what's funny? In that story, he takes all their money and just tries to distribute it out to the poor villagers to kind of even the score. And like, but you know, they'll probably be fighting each other over our stolen stuff, and you're just bringing. I know that's a possibility, he says. You know, but I still have to try and make things right or make things even in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, you know, because he was basically taking the money they stole from people they murdered.
And isn't that the right spirit?
Yeah.
It's like, look, I can't not do good because someone else might do bad. Yeah. That's on them. I still got to do what I got to do.
But there's all kinds of fantasy elements in these stories too. I think he fights vampires at some point and Lovecraftian stuff.
Yeah, he was a contemporary of Lovecraft, and he wrote a lot of stories drawing on, you know, I think he actually used some of Lovecraft's creatures, and
Lovecraft even used like some of Howard's creatures. They all had a circle going in Weird Tales. They all correspond with each other.
Yes,
Robert Bloch, Clark Ashton Smith. They all were in commutes with each other. But Robert E. Howard is always my favorite of those guys. Of course, I should probably read more Robert Bloch and Clark Ashton Smith. I do have I bought all kinds of fancy books with their stuff in it. I've read a lot of the Conan. I've read a lot of the Howard stuff. I haven't completed Solomon Kane. I've read all of Cole. I've read all of Bran McMorn. I've read a lot of the Conans. I haven't quite finished those yet, but I need to get back into reading all my Solomon Kane to catch up in time for this series. But I'm very excited.
Yeah, and see, I think this is another example of, you know, you don't have to reboot anything. There's plenty of stuff that's out there that you can, you know, start a franchise on that deserves, you know, the live action treatment. And I would say this kind of stuff is it, you know. And I love it being done independent, because they're the ones that are in a situation where someone comes out and says this is problematic, or, you know, down with religion or whatever. They can say, well, screw you then. It's not for you. Don't watch it. You don't like it.
If you're really thinking, you're thinking too hard on this stuff too. This is fun, pulpy stories. What I love about Robert E. Howard is, okay, he'll have a story where Conan hates the Picts and he's fighting the Picts and killing the Picts. He'll write another story with Bran McMorn, who's the hero, and he's the king of the Picts. Do you understand? He'll do things from all different sides. Okay. And I have to say this, I love this though, but Howard described him as all his life he had roamed about the world, aiding the weak and fighting oppression. He neither knew nor questioned why. That was his obsession, his driving force of life. Okay, and yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on this. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Apparently, too, he's had a lot of stuff done in comic books. Solomon Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Dark Horse, I should try. It's funny. We always attack Marvel comics, but apparently I've heard the stuff they've done with the stuff that's not the classic Marvel characters, that the other lines are pretty good lately. Like, I think they've done Solomon Kane comics that have actually been pretty good. Well,
and that is the magic of licensing. Yeah. When you license from another company, or, you know, another, you know, shareholder or whatever, you can't just have that attitude of, well, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. No, you can't. It's not yours. This is what I think a lot more Hollywood people need to understand about the movies they're making.
Yes. Wolfton says check out my, sorry, I was looking at Wolfton's, check out my streams with Sammy Oki on this. Yes, you guys did talk about Robert E. Howard. Yeah, check out Wolfton's streams, definitely. Yeah. And let's see, and Horizon Talker says, I'm working on a short story in that vein, told entirely from the point of view of the villains as the hero hunts down and executes. It's interesting, yeah.
I told you guys, if you're not following Horizon Talker, you are missing out a creator in our own community. Yeah. You really are.
One of the fascinating things I get, the Death Wish movies were a guilty pleasure of mine, and there was an almost Death Wish 5 almost became brilliant, but they kind of dropped the ball a little bit. No, I know you're thinking
I'm sorry, I'm still reading the comics. I just saw Samuel Proctor's comments. I am the king of the Picts. The king of the who? The Picts. Who are the Picts? We are the Picts. Well, I didn't vote for you.
Funny, yes.
I'm sorry.
The Bran McMorn stories are so dark, because that's like about the Picts are dying off now, and he's like their last king, and it was like and he hates the Romans too, like pagan Romans invading Britain, and he's like he's wanting to take it's it's fascinating. You'll have the Romans are the villains in those stories, and it's but what was I going to say though?
I'm sorry, I got you distracted.
I did get sidetracked. Oh no, Death Wish 5 though had a great thing in it where it has your typical Death Wish setup where the bad guys kill, I guess, his girlfriend, and then he has to, of course, become Mr. Vigilante again. But then it shifts to the perspective of the bad guys, and then it's all about Bronson tracking them down. It's like you're seeing things from their point of view, and he's, and it's almost like he's like a Jason type monster, like a Terminator, it's like, and I'm thinking that was actually, they should have done the whole movie like that. If they had just stuck with that, that was actually rather brilliant. Okay. But anyway, soft spot. So we have other news, I guess.
I was going to say, as long as you're talking Solomon Kane, you're talking Conan and so forth. How you feeling about Red Sonja?
That's where we're going next. I'm mixed on this. Okay,
go ahead and read the article.
I was watching a little bit of young Ripa before the stream.
I like young Ripa.
We've had this talk before.
Help! I'm being oppressed.
We were doing.
Wait, I'm sorry, Matthew Flynn. Are you making a reference to coupling? If you are, spot on, my friend. Go
Okay.
ahead, Aged Boomer.
So, Red Sonja. Okay, so Hannah John Kamen, who starred as a villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp and was a lead in the series Brave New World. I think she was also on Killjoys on Sci-Fi. I haven't seen that show, but
I have no idea of these things you speak.
Okay, well, I've seen. She's an actress. She's been in movies. Well, she's been in a lot of like what we would call geek culture type movies.
I saw what she looked like because I put her in the thumbnail, but I don't know her from anyone.
Okay, well, star Millennium's Law gestating sword and sorcery feature. Joey Soloway is directing the project and co-wrote the script with Tasha Huyo, the screenwriter who is showrunning and executive producing the upcoming animated Tomb Raider series for Netflix and Legendary. I hope she looks nice animated in that, but we won't talk about Tomb Raider right now. Maybe that'll be the next story. I'll do research on that. Don't get me started on what they've done to Lara Croft. Anyway, Hannah is a very talented actress who we've been following for years, and she is Red Sonja, said Soloway in a statement. Her range, sensibilities, and strength are all qualities we have been looking for, and we couldn't be more excited to embark on this journey together. Okay, well, that's positive. Sonja was created by Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith for Marvel Comics, Conan the Barbarian comic in the early 1970s, and was an amalgam of several characters from Conan creator Robert E. Howard. That's true. He didn't really have he had like one character in the story named Red Sonja. I think they're just basing her on all these fierce barbarian women you might see in some of these Conan stories. And she's like an amalgamation.
Right.
Amalgamation, whatever.
And I've heard that that's part of the problem because different companies that have done Red Sonja have kind of done slightly different takes on her. And so it becomes very difficult.
Who is Red Sonja? Right.
Yeah.
When the project was shot the European film market earlier this year, Soloway noted there could not be a greater moment in our world for Red Sonja's ways of wielding power and her connections with nature and our planet. That's becoming hippy dippy. I'm not sure if I'm liking that. Soloway also noted that Sonja is an ancient heroine with an epic calling. See, this stuff is starting to. At least they use the word heroin, though. Okay. The movie is a big opportunity for John.
Maybe they're tipping you off that you need to use heroin before you start trying to wade into this drivel that they're going to put out. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
We'll see. Okay. I want to make a point here, though. This is the latest in a long line of we're replacing the redheaded character with a.
And this is exactly my point. This is not as overt as, recasting Jimmy Olsen and Ariel and stuff with a person of color.
Right.
This is, still, white actress, but
well, she's mixed race, I think.
Whatever. She's light skinned and dark haired. Are they planning to change her name to, Chestnut Sonja? Or Sable Sonja?
The other way around this is they can dye her hair red or even like a wine red or something.
That worked out really well for Jessica Alba in the Fantastic Four, didn't it? See, that's my problem.
Look, yes,
there are plenty of. I mean, I saw some of the casting choices that fans were going for, and they were saying, what's her name? From Doctor Who, Amelia Pond. She was in Guardians of the Galaxy. What's her name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
She was also in Jumanji. She's
why do I always miss names when we're having to think of them?
Somebody in the chat's gonna
spout out her name. But no,
she would be perfect. Someone else even suggested if you want to go for the younger, but totally capable of buffing up. Karen Gillian.
Karen Gillian, yeah. I wanted her for Poison Ivy, but anyway.
The other one they were suggesting is that girl, the Disney girl. She used to be in Shake It Up Chicago. What was her name? For Pete's sake.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. You don't know the Disney Channel. I got to look it up.
Zendaya?
No, the one that played opposite Zendaya.
Yeah, and Young Ripper was making. They're always race swapping the Reds. That's what they're doing now, which I find odd. But
it wasn't Zendaya.
Well, Zendaya, they were okay.
It was the show that Zendaya was in, though, on the Disney Channel.
Oh well, heck, I don't. Oh, the what's her name? The one who got into Bella Thorne.
Bella Thorne, yeah.
I don't know what she's going to be getting casting because she started OnlyFans or something. Wasn't that a thing in the news lately?
I don't see the downside there.
We're not talking about that subject on this stream. Okay. Anyways, okay.
Debbie Ryan would be a good one too.
Agent Wolf 10 Media says she's Nigerian. Okay. Well, I'm just saying that's what the new media was calling her. Okay. Don't take I'm not you know, whatever. Okay. That's what the news media was saying what she was. Okay. She's Nigerian. Okay. I actually have.
I'll tell you what though, being Nigerian does not necessarily say anything about her race or skin color.
True. That's true. Anyway.
Just remember, Scarlett Johansson is South African. So
what am I getting at though?
Technically, she's an African American.
If this was a vacuum, this wouldn't even be a thing. Okay.
True.
It just seems like all we're seeing is race thing, and I'm like redhead swapping. I guess we're calling it, right? Is that what we're calling it?
I guess.
I guess, or maybe if we were swapping out the redheads. I had all this in my head. It was going to come out so good. I'm a redhead myself, and Young Ripper was making a point that Hollywood hates y'all. Okay,
yeah.
And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to. No, we're fine. I'm starting to wonder lately. Actually, I don't know. I mean, is there ginger phobia out there? In fact, I've never even liked the term ginger. I don't know. For some reason, that's always bugged me. But
well, I never really.
It's a British term, and they tend to yell. Actually, Matthew Flynn would know most about it. I don't know.
And it doesn't make a lot of sense because ginger to me ought to be like yellow. I mean, ginger root is yellow. I don't know why ginger is associated with red, but maybe they're referring to ginger spice, which is still yellow, I think.
Oh, Wolf to me was saying, that's Charlize Theron. ScarJo's European. Okay, yes. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, Scarlett, this is all okay. What are we talking about here? Aged Boomer, here we go. Lay a plus size. I don't know what you said, but I'll read it anyway. Okay, the studio has no intention of casting a white redhead for this role. She was cast for role points, that is all. That's true, but I will say this. I do at least like this actress. She has been on a lot of science fiction and fantasy type shows, so I can see her in a barbarian fantasy type show.
And that was what I was getting at, too, is that there is clearly this anti-white bias now, and what is more white than a redhead? You know,
but even before this happened, even before all this stuff was going on, you tended to get a lot of actors who weren't redheads playing. The funniest thing I thought about those Spider-Man movies was that they swapped out. They had Kirsten Dunst play Mary Jane, but they at least dyed her red. But then they had what's her name play Howard's daughter, Ron Howard's daughter, Bryce Howard. Bryce Dallas Howard was playing Gwen Stacy, and she dyed her hair blonde, which I thought was funny.
And here's the thing: dyeing your hair is a bare minimum. But when Hollywood dyes your hair, I should not be able to look at you and go, "Oh, that's a terrible dye job."
Well,
okay. Which is the kind of thing that we all did when we look at Jessica Alba, and she's got yellow blonde hair.
Did she dye her hair, or was she wearing a wig?
I don't know. Either way, it looked terrible.
I thought it was a wig.
Either way, it looked terrible.
Okay. Well,
and she was wearing blue contact lenses that you could see the brown, in the center of her eye. It looked terrible. And there comes a point where you go, if it looks this much like shit, you cast it wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Especially in this day and age when we're saying, we want the representation. We want black people to play black people and Asian people to play Asian people. And we want real Klingons to play real Klingons, whatever it is. Get as close as you can. Okay. I still feel very strongly that if someone of a different race can play the character well and believably, that's fine. But if red hair is an integral part of your character, if blonde hair is an integral part of your character, it better look natural. That might mean, I don't know, casting a white person who happens to be blonde or very light colored hair so that you can be convincingly dyed blonde.
Well, maybe we have computers now that can change the hair color. I'm kidding. I'm thinking that'd be a disaster.
Well, but actually, I was actually thinking exactly that. If you're going to change eye color, that might be the way to go. But do you really want to incur that extra cost?
I don't know.
When, again, this goes back to the casting thing that I was saying before.
Okay.
Why does it have to be the big name star you're going to pay a bunch of high bucks to? Get the talented unknown who looks the part perfectly that you don't have to do any touch up on.
Okay. But
save money all around.
But Wolf 10, like me, he says, I like her too. She has a cute smile. I have weakness. I actually do like this actress, though. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am kind of torn on this. So I don't want us to all be attacking her.
I'm not. I don't have any strong feelings. All I'm saying is she better have red hair. Otherwise, what's the point of the
given.
character?
If they don't have, because Yarp was like, are they going to be not even have her have the red hair though? That's what he was wondering. I'm like, well, wait and see. I wonder. They need to have her have the red hair. They could pull it off.
It's going to be
It
ridiculous.
doesn't have to be. I don't know.
If she doesn't have the red hair, then calling her Red Sonja is going to be stupid as hell. Yes. If they give her red hair and it doesn't look right, it's going to look stupid as hell.
Well, hopefully they'll figure this out. Again, we had the old Red Sonja with Bridget Nielsen. Of course, she was a blonde. They had to dye her hair red.
Yeah, and that's just it. A blonde dyeing her hair red works out. That's the kind of thing where I've seen actresses. The first time I saw them was with red hair. I thought they were natural redheads, and then you find out, oh no, she's a natural blonde.
Well, they say that men in Britain, because I guess there's a stigma against, according to documentaries I've seen. I don't live in England, so I don't know, but some of the ones there's such a thing about gingers over there. Some of them dye their hair blonde. I've heard that happening, but of course this was in some documentary. Okay, but I don't know.
Well, as you know, in the United States, if you're male and you're redhead, you're automatically a bully. That's just,
Well, that would be me to a T, I guess. I don't
know.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you bully. You probably picked on people like me in high school.
And, yes, okay, of course. But that's it for that. I don't know about
watch a
Red
Christmas
Sonja.
Story. There's your proof.
Will she get a chainmail bikini? Yeah, that might be we get a chainmail. We better.
So here's what they were saying about this on Midnight's Edge, right? You try to make the argument about, sexy versus armor, because we're talking about the world of Conan, where Conan is completely bare-chested. He wears almost nothing. Okay? Red Sonja is actually wearing more armor than Conan, and she's wearing bikini mail. The whole point is they're such great fighters, they don't need armor. Dumbasses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agent Wolf 10 says, I'm a black male. I'm a bully. Unless the police shoot me dead, then I'm something to be pitied. Yeah, well. Yeah. Okay, we got one final story for the night. Okay. It's about Picard season 2. Okay, we excited?
Yes.
We excited?
This is going to be brilliant.
You know something? You've been against Picard from the beginning, and granted, I had some trepidations against season 1. But here's a news article we got for y'all. All right,
because I've heard is that CBS now wants to bring it back to the vision of Gene Roddenberry. It's going to be optimistic. It's going to be the kind of Star Trek we all grew up with. Is that not the case, Aged Boomer?
Well, I'll read from this article, okay? It has been revealed that Picard Season 2 is currently in the works and that it will controversially feature nudity, swearing, and bloody violence. With the first season of Picard, we need to make it clear that we were ready to push boundaries and show that this was modern Star Trek for 2020, explained showrunner Michael Chabon. So we had someone say F-U-C-K, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There are asterisks in the thing in the article. Okay, season 2 of the show seems to push those boundaries even further. Yeah, like this is going to be a Star Trek for the Sopranos generation, continued Chabon. In the opening scene of the first episode, we have Sir Patrick Stewart's first full frontal nude scene as he gets out of bed with his number 1 on display for everyone to see. What do we think?
Hey, we've seen Klingon boobs. Why not?
Okay. All right. So,
and actually, if you're a real Patrick Stewart fan, you've already seen his bare fanny in I, Claudius. So, I mean,
Oh, okay. That's interesting to know. Okay. Not that I'll be looking for that later or anything, but anyway.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Nanette's got it on VHS.
Top search on Mr. Skin now.
It's a multi VHS series, but she only has that one VHS. I wonder why.
Okay. All right. It is thought that this will be the sexiest Trek yet. Oh yeah, everyone gets naked. This is grown-up modern show for modern grown-ups. There'll be lots of space nudity. The scene which Worf is introduced in a Klingon nudist colony is going to blow your mind. Not just nudity. The new season will feature swearing and violence as yet seen in the Star Trek universe. Lots of swearing, lots of F word, B word, shit. And in the third episode, Picard calls someone the C word. Totally mature. The violence we did think a lot about, but the fact is this is going to be a realistic show, and we're not getting around the fact that if you're dealing with lots of weird aliens, you're going to have some brutal violence. Take Elnor; he's an accomplished hand-to-hand combat expert, and so if you think about it, it's actually less realistic to not show him dismember and eviscerate his enemies, and it's more important for us to be realistic. In the more controversial scenes of Picard Season 2 prove as successful as in the first season, that Season 3 is expected to just feature the whole cast naked and writhing in blood as they chant the C word for the entire season. Okay, this is a fake article.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the outlet that it came from?
Yeah, let me give credit where credit is due. I posted it.
You did post it, but we've been talking.
Let me find out. Hold on. Let me grab up here.
ScreenIdol.com.
Yeah,
ScreenIdol is a satire site.
Though I told you when you first showed this to me, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay."
But
yep.
but
then I said, "No, wait, no, okay."
Yeah, but here it's a perfect example of Poe's law, right? Because in the absence of any other context, things have become so absurd. You can't tell what's real and what's satire anymore. And it's very easy to believe this would be true given what we've already seen of, Star Trek Discovery. Right? We've already seen nudity. We've already dropped the F-bomb. Really, and we've seen graphic violence. So why would we be surprised if they push the envelope slightly further and give us full frontal, drop the C word, and whatever?
Well, I was making an argument though, even if they were to show Picard's Wang or Jimmy Jagger, as Adam Sandler might say.
Jimmy Jagger. Hey, Batman's done it.
Okay, but my point is that even if that were to happen, since Picard is now an android, that's technically not really his. That's something that Noonien Soon's long-lost son that we never heard about made.
Actually, it might actually be better. It might be detachable.
It might be an improvement. See, this something. Okay, well, this was an oddly night.
What's that humming noise?
I don't know if I'm still gonna have if I'm gonna have access to Picard, but
dude, I'm serious. When you put out the portions of this, you gotta bleep me only because it'll be funnier bleeped than what I'm actually saying.
I have to say something though. They've really written themselves into such a corner. I think were we talking about it on last Friday's stream about Picard season 2? I think. About how they've written themselves, or maybe it was afterwards. I don't know, but it was we were chatting about Picard and just
I don't know.
I want my shows back, but maybe if we get a good Solomon Kane and a good Conan series, that'll be enough to keep me happy. Just make something good. It can come from independent studio. It's fine. I don't care. I just want something to like again, please.
I know.
This has been a horrible pandemic, and all the entertainment they've given us is not good. I kind of like Perry Mason remake, but that had issues too. Anyway, okay. Anything else to talk about? I think we're done for the night. Okay, we're done here.
I know it can be emotionally draining sometimes.
VelociCoaster for the win. Solomon Kane and Conan series hopefully for the win. I don't know about this Red Sonja movie, but then we'll just have 2 bad Red Sonja movies. Okay, I know you're gonna defend Red Sonja the movie now, aren't you? The original, Brigitte Nielsen.
I don't remember it that well.
There's some bad dialogue in that movie.
There was some bad dialogue in the original Conan too. We only remember the good stuff.
There's some worse dialogue in Conan the Destroyer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
I
you're
pick
not
on
wrong.
Conan the Destroyer a lot. Okay, y'all have a good night. Watch VelociCoaster. Yes, I know. I have seen it. I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the cover. It'll make you chuckle. I told you what VelociCoaster was, right? It's about
Yes.
like a Christian preacher who I guess is combined with raptor DNA, and he fights a band of ninjas.
Yep.
You like that idea?
Sure. I mean, we live in a post-Sharknado world. Why the hell not?
You know what? At some point, Sharknado, at the rate things are going, Sharknado's going to be considered the brilliant movies compared to what we're getting. Sharknado 5 will be better than Avengers 5. Okay.
I actually, I actually have to say that Tom from Midnight's Edge has said multiple times he wants to do an independent film that involves dinosaurs, kung fu, nunchucks. I don't remember what else he threw in there. He said it'll be the biggest hit ever.
Yes.
And Rob has said, let me do a James Bond film. It'll have, sex, booze, swearing. It'll be the best thing ever. It'll be the best-selling Bond film you've ever seen.
Well, it probably still be better than what we're going to be getting coming up from Bond, but I'm going to cry if that Bond movie is what I think it's going to be. You there, Troy?
Yeah.
Okay, I almost forgot tonight. Where are my manners? And I'm a bad person, but I remember for the stream ended. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the chat. Melissa Harrison's sons, definitely. Nanette, happy birthday, Netter. Happy birthday. Happy Mother's Day, Netter.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else who I miss? Happy Mother's Day. Okay.
Melissa Harris and sons. Happy Mother's Day.
That's like the most important job in the world. Okay. It's like, come on.
The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, but good stream, I thought, and we'll see you guys. Next week, same time. Got anything going on this week? I got Culture Fortress on Tuesday. I'll be on there with Matchstick, and I think Schooner Tuna is going to be there with Wolf 10, and we're going to be talking about stuff that's not been affected by some of the SJW stuff. So it'll be a fun stream. And what is it? I think Wednesday night.
What's going on soundtracks?
We're doing Darkest Hour. Okay.
Oh, right.
I don't think it's gonna be me and him. We're gonna have anyone else on with us, but it's gonna be the Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill movie. So that was an important film made a couple years ago. And
if I don't have a D&D game, I'm definitely gonna have to put that in because I actually have the DVD and simply have not watched it yet.
You've never watched Darkest Hour?
Not yet. No.
I just recommend you watching it on your own. You can hear our commentary on it too if you want. But it's a great film, and actually it reminds you that there was a time when there were people in the English government who were basically wanting to, what do we do? Do we just kind of cave to these outside forces of people that I can't mention? Well, and I think nowadays there are people kind of wanting to do the same thing too.
And you have to consider that, we tend to look at history in the retrospect. We know how things turned out. And we can speculate how things could have turned out differently, but we have hindsight being 2020. You try to look at it from the point of view of the people then at the time. There was no guarantee that any
they were going to win.
No, I mean, Winston Churchill honestly believed that he may have just given the order to end the British Empire.
Yeah,
there's even talk about him going up on the balcony, expecting to be rained down with bombs.
I'm wondering if that happens in the movie. I'm trying to remember now. It was really seriously, it was. They were not in good shape, especially after the First World War, and I'm sure they got hit by depression too, like we did, right? And
it was bad.
And now you have this war machine marching all across Europe, and they're not getting any help.
I would love to know if like, for example, if Matthew Flynn ever talked with his grandma about what it was like during World War II, because my mother-in-law used to tell stories about how, you'd hear the air raid siren, you'd do the whole, duck and hide kind of thing. And then when you got the all clear siren, you'd come out and everybody, man, woman, and child would come out and pick through the rubble and listen to see if you could hear anybody calling for help so that you could dig them out. That's
wow.
And that was a regular thing.
Terrifying.
And then after you'd done that for a while, you'd go inside and you'd make dinner.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just life.
You know, tough times to be living in.
Yeah, and that's why whenever I hear someone bitching and moaning about, you know, how oppressed we are because of microaggressions, it's like, you know what? Fuck you. You don't even know what it's like.
No, that's a product of living in comfortable times. Of course, we may soon find out what it's like to live in hard times, because the past year wasn't so hot, and this year doesn't look to be so hot either. But let's not get depressing. Let's talk about something positive. Well, Commander Rambles, check him out Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons. He has a lot of cool guests on. It's you know, and he's fun to hear too. And it's just yeah, I definitely recommend Wolf Commander Rambles. And are you having? I know Green Line.
Yeah,
Girls
well,
on Wednesday,
early Friday. Always, as soon as you get off of work, go ahead and flip on your YouTube and check out Green Lion Girl stream. She's usually doing some sort of a playthrough. Early Friday evening, later Friday night, you know, 9 o'clock Central Time. Boomer and I are gonna be on my stream. Well, you volunteered, so I didn't think.
I know. I was reading Wolfen's comment. They are not my guests. They are my wingmen. Okay, stand corrected. That's cool though. I like that. Wolf Commander and then wingmen.
You and I will be kind of continuing this cultural talk a little bit on Friday night. Kind of a little bit about Star Wars, but we'll talk about Star Wars, Hollywood, our community, YouTube, you know, the streamers, and really some of the stuff that's happening in our culture, and the coarsening of our discourse, and how people that, you know, up until very recently were the voices of positivity and reason are now starting to succumb to the dark side, so to speak.
Trying to find out how we can best fight this culture war. I think that's what we're thinking about. And just, you know, where we want to go from here. But yeah, I was wondering if that was, in fact, I was even starting to wonder if your insignia was the Star Wolf insignia from Star Fox, because of course, Star Fox are the heroes in the Star Fox games, and Star Wolf are the villains.
Oh, right. Saturday's rewatch is on Netters Network.
Yes.
Where we will be watching Alien Nation. That's a classic sci-fi film that I think has flown under the radar for the younger generation. It's worth going back to and checking out. James Caan and Mandy Patinkin.
Oh,
Mandy Patinkin, for those of you that don't know, Mandy Patinkin is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. He plays an alien. You won't even recognize him.
Yeah, I remember that movie, and they did a series after that. It was different actors, but that was a cool
and it was a good series too. I mean, it was in fact the guy that played the cop role, Sykes,
Robotech,
who was played by James Caan in the movie. I forget the actor's name, but he's the one that plays Saval in Star Trek Enterprise.
Cool.
And Axanar.
Cool. All right. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I remember him now. That's where I know that guy from. Okay, because I recognized him on what was it, on Star Trek Enterprise, and I knew he was on Axanar. I was like, where else did I know him from? And of course, Alien Nation. Okay.
I do that kind of thing all the time. The thing is, though, that nowadays we have IMDb, so I'll just go, what's this actor's name? Okay, and what else has he been in? Oh, that's where I know him from. I just did the same thing this past week with Ben 10. Some of the voices I was hearing, I'm like, I know that name. Oh my gosh, that's Ian McKellen. Oh my gosh, you know, or whatever it is, and you know, yeah.
Okay.
So okay.
All right, cool. Well, good stream, and we'll see you guys next week. Any last words, Troy?
No, just try to stay positive, people, and just remember, when you're interacting with people online, they're still human beings. Treat them the way you would treat them face to face. And if you wouldn't treat them face to face in a civil way, just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, it's something I might have a story to tell on that on Friday. Yeah, about how I only did that once, and then I realized later on, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. And this was when I was younger, but I'll tell you the story. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, be civil. We can all be civil. All right. Have a good week.
Take
Catch
care,
you later.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.